You're muted.
Who even makes this show? Kerry O'Shea Gargon, thank you so much for taking care of that last little minute situation we just had. We had a fun idea, didn't we? We decided to maybe go do a photo walk. This was your idea.
You're always posting these Photowalk videos, and it looks really fun. And one of them I got to tag along in, and I was like, that's sort of like, it would make a fun show, I thought. But having had the experience of trying to do a sort of scavenger hunt type experience, which is really what a photo walk is, right? You're trying to find the right photos. Trying to do that live, I was skeptical that it would come out better this time, unless we pre-recorded.
So that's what we did.
Hi everyone, Tim Kitzer from NBA Jam and NFL Blitz, welcoming you to The Backpack Show. Your hosts, Chris Brogan, Kerry Gargon, Boom Shakalaka.
Backpack Show. So we had this idea, Kerry's idea, that we would go to some place, do a photo walk, have a fun experience. Hello, everybody. And that we would capture it for you. So the way we're going to do this today is I've got a folder shared. I'm going to show some video clips and stuff like that we made while we were up in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. So if I do this right, does it fill the screen? Let's see. Oh, you don't even see that video. Well, that's not useful. How am I going to do this? All right, I have an idea. Stop sharing that window. Guys, wait a second.
We uploaded some to Dropbox, but we also uploaded some directly into StreamYard. So once we get past the first intro video, I think they will work.
Yeah, the intro is the problem. So here we go.
We don't see it. Now we don't hear it.
Wait, you don't have the audio?
I think you just need to share it with audio.
That's a good question.
This is going great compared to doing it live.
You should have just goddamn did the live thing. All right, it's saying if you want to share the audio, you have to share a tab instead. So we're effed. All right, well, so what? We shot a video. There's a thing. Hi, Dawn. Yes, Portsmouth it is. So instead, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to share some of the photos, and that I know I can do because I did that ahead of time. And we did a photo walk. Oh, and we do have little clips. So I will show some of the little clips that we made, except for the one where we just kind of announced what we were doing. But for instance, here's some explanations and things of what we were doing. Ready? Okay, so this camera, the Sony a6000, this is what Kerry's going to shoot. I put just a standard 27 millimeter pancake lens on it. All you do is turn it on, and it's autofocus. I got it all set up. You just turn it on, you just shoot.
In idiot mode?
Easy mode. I mean, put it in the mode you need to get the shot you want to get. That's what Simone Danterman says. Put it in the mode you need to get the shot. That's not idiot mode. That's just a better way to shoot the shot.
That's idiot mode. That's fine. I'm good with it.
You boob. Okay, so here's I have a folder for Kerry, a folder for me. So that was a shot I took when I was saying that. And then these are some of your shots. Are those showing up on our screen and everything like that? Nope.
No, just the Dropbox itself. But they're in here. They're in StreamYard, I think.
Not the photos, because I didn't put them there. All right, give me a minute. I got another way I can do this because I'm very clever and we didn't think this all the way through. So
it was very impromptu. We went up to Portsmouth, took a walk around, and it was interesting because we were at times trying to switch off, like whose shot we were going for. I would go, "Hey, look, people! You love people," or Chris would go, "Hey, there's a little red car. You love little cars and stuff." And so I found myself like looking for shots kind of for him, and he did the same for me. So I think in the end, it was an interesting mix. Yeah, that place was supposed to be haunted, and I just like haunted places. I don't know.
So it was fun. I gave Kerry a camera, like a regular 35 millimeter camera. This is a Sony Alpha 6000. It's like a 10-plus-year-old camera now, but it's like a full-fledged mirrorless, APS-C sensor camera. It's like the real deal. And it was fun because we went and we did some shots. So this is one of Kerry's shots. I'll throw a couple more in there because now that I know that I have to do sort of jumping through hoops to do it. But it was exciting to kind of see what Kerry came up with, because in the process I got to like learn how her style did or didn't, like what parts of her style lined up or whatever. I'm fine.
So the way I take photos is a little bit different when I'm traveling. When I'm traveling, I'm trying on purpose at times to show you something that a lot of people see, but from a little bit of a different angle. And I'm very aware that, I'm lucky to be some places that are unusual. Like when I went to Sydney, I had a bunch of photos from Sydney, Australia. And I took a ton of, photos of random little things or the backsides of tourist things so that people could get to take a look at something that it would be difficult to get to. So I'm always looking for something like that, like a different angle on something that you might want to see or something that would be hard for you to get to.
So I am going to upload a couple of the photos that you took, but I'm also going to show a couple more behind the scenes because we shot all this damn stuff, so we might as well. So Kerry's pointing out that she shoots mostly with her camera, her telephone. Sorry. So I'm going to take back the camera and let her do some phone shots because that's what she's used to and that's the camera she knows. So we'll do some shots like that for a bit.
That's funny because it's like you barely gave me a turn with the camera.
What do you mean a turn, like doing the...
Like, that's enough. Back to your phone.
Well, the funny part was that, like you were saying, you were doing some shots and then you were saying, I think, I'm more suited to this other way. And I was like, oh, that totally makes sense to me, actually. So, I think it was just a better option for you to have the tool that you prefer to use.
I think it's a truer comparison if you want to look at our style, because I'm working with something, the camera I'm not used to working with. So it'd be hard for you to tell my style versus my inexperience with the tool.
All right. So maybe it'll let me do this. I'm having such an experience today. But this was one of the ones that you shot on your iPhone. You should talk a little bit about this. For instance, you shoot with the iPhone 15 something. What is it?
iPhone 15 Pro Max, which has a pretty insane camera. It's got like the sort of 3-lens job that you've seen on some of the more recent iPhones, and just like really juicy, big files. What I like about it is in real time, I can sort of crop to what's catching my eye. Whereas with the camera I was shooting with before, there is no zoom. So you get what you get. You kind of can't see sometimes what exactly you're getting. So you have to crop it and work with it later. I capture it in the moment. I sometimes take several shots trying to get the light a certain way. Like what drew me to this one is the colors outside and then the glow, kind of warm glow from inside. And then the man in the hard hat work outfit right there. I was just like, this is such an interesting mix of elements. And that's what I was going for. So I actually took a couple versions of it until the light came through the way I wanted it to.
The iPhone 15 Pro Max, by the way, is a 46 megapixel camera. So it is like a pretty hardcore camera. So like it's my fancy pants camera is only 40. The other one that you were shooting with is 24 or so. But then I've since gone on to learn that there's only so much, especially when we're looking at stuff online, you only see so many megapixels anyway. So there's so little that it matters after a certain size or amount. I'm going to show up if it will let me, because evidently I'm having technology day to day. I'm going to show another one of your photos that you took when you said, hey, we should go down this street, and you saw this cool stuff. So you should talk about that.
You say it like my ideas are bad.
The exact opposite.
So I had been to Portsmouth once for a self-guided ghost tour because I'm a nerd and I do things like that. Like I will spend a couple hours listening to a guy on my phone tell me that this building I'm standing in front of was haunted one time, or they say it is. So I love that. So in the course of that tour, I walked down a street and there was like a couple things around that street that were supposedly haunted, but there were also obviously old buildings and just really pretty and with interesting architectural details. So I did not notice this the first time I was there, but I took a much slower walk down that street this time instead of just cutting from like ghost to ghost. So I looked over and saw these two spiral staircases side by side, and they reminded me of like a DNA, like a double helix or something. And I like the look of them. I'm very drawn to color. You were talking at one point, and there's one video about color versus black and white, and color does it for me for sure. But I'm pretty sure this would look arresting even in black and white, just the lines of it all and the curves.
It's a beautiful shot, and the sort of double helix, like you say, is really interesting about it. And I got another one of your shots of this kind of, I don't know, what would you call that? Like a English garden looking kind of thing?
Like a little garden path, I guess. And actually, Chloe, this looks very similar to some of the things we saw at Hampton Court Palace. Like they had a big garden and there were these little, like, I'd call them hidey holes, like between hedges or something, little garden paths you could get lost in. So that's actually what I was thinking of when I took it.
I've got another photo of yours I want to share, and then I'll put a couple of mine up too. But I have a photo of yours I wanted to share. This is my favorite photo of the walk. Talk about that one.
I was walking down that same street, old buildings, and obviously old buildings attract new development. So on the corner was a building that had sort of ragtag bunch of fencing around it with canvas sort of hanging open. Like you can see here, there's a gap. And I wanted to see what was on the other side. Like I wanted to see the building. And as I snuck up and looked through, I thought this would be a pretty cool shot. I love perspective shots. So showing you something through a door or through a window. So you're literally sharing my perspective right now. I'm peeking through a fence, looking at something we're not meant to be seeing. And I don't know, I find that sort of titillating. But also it's very pretty, the colors, the green and the vibrant red of the brick, and the sort of like, I think, faded federal blue of the shutters, although it's hard to tell.
And so a lot of my shot today, my camera does this thing where it can shoot JPEGs and it can shoot what they call RAW files, which you allow you to edit. And Kerry's phone camera can even do that. But so everything I brought back was in black and white. What was kind of interesting about that is that because I'm doing black and white, I think I have a clip about that. It's all about sort of like figuring out the composition, not so much the color. But I'll show you that I cheated and took two of the photos and stuck them already in color. And one of them is not coming out for whatever reason, because StreamYard, I think, has maybe an upper file size limit that I'm going to have to fight with a little. But I'll show that. And that says, by the way, I love the lines and curves plus the depths. So she's really relating to that. So this is one of the ones that I cheated and made it into a color one, just because I really loved the look and feel of it. It really just has kind of a warmth to it. And this is to the left of where we're looking right now is where Kerry's double helix stairway was.
What's interesting about this to me is that the sky is overcast, as you can tell just looking at this, and it was at times even raining, but this has a really warm glow, like the sun was maybe peeking through at a very specific angle or something, and it makes it look very inviting. I like it.
So it's a lie is what you're saying. But it is. I mean, I put some photo treatment on it, and I guess it sort of found some color that wasn't there. And I'll show you, I'll grab one of my black and white ones too. But it's funny because, we do react to color. This is, you and I both took a shot or two or three at this. And when I thought I was going to be able to show you the folder, I was going to show kind of a progression of what it took me to get the shot I really wanted. And it ended up being this, because I really like people in my photos. I like the elements in this. Obviously, I love all the colors. And it's just this woman writing on the board, obviously like the specials of the day, but the little red bike really anchors this. So it kind of tells the whole thing. Like you are pulling up to a building that serves, LGBTQ people, and, these kinds of people are going to be the people who serve you in there. It really gives you a real sense of things. And as Dad knows, I love taking motorcycles, bikes, and scooters. Poor Kerry got to watch that, real time this time around. So that was kind of funny too.
I was spotting them for you after a while. They're like, there's one, there's one, there's one. I like that same photo, and I wasn't quite getting what I wanted to from the photo of the street until the woman came out. It was like something about the street is very visually interesting. It's like a geometric pattern of hedges and sky and brick. And then the bike breaks it up a little bit, but I was like, it's just not getting it. And then when she stepped out and started doing that under that colorful pride flag, it brought it all together for me. Like I took similar shots, and yeah, anyway, that's agreed. There's like a balance to that wasn't, and when it's not there, you feel it. You're like, this isn't what I want. It's not what I'm feeling, isn't translating. So sometimes you do need like one more element or one less element.
That's a conversation to have. I am pulling my hair out, by the way, at the same time trying to, load these stupid things in the StreamYard, and I can't tell if it's something I'm doing or something the system is doing, but it's not my friend today. So anyway, while I am not going to throw rocks at anything, one of the things I was thinking about was the fact that we learn a lot of things when we go on a walk like this, right? Because we see with a different set of eyes. I'm curious to know, like, what did you take out of this from, you've taken photos in all kinds of places, but you haven't like applied your thoughts to it necessarily the way I might have. What did you see when you went out with this in mind, like with making photos in mind?
I was looking for, it's unavoidable. I'm going to look for things that I know will work for you. So I was like, there's no people down here. I could do fine on a street with no people, as long as there were interesting architectural elements. And I almost at times prefer no people, because I want you to envision yourself stepping into it. And with other people there, that can be, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I took a shot when Chloe and I went to Hampton Court Palace. I took a shot through a hedge at like a little sort of hidden garden, had some benches, and there happened to be no people in there. And so it very much looked like, oh, I have found a place no one else knows about, and I would like to go sit there. So I started looking for things for you versus for me. So that was interesting. I'm sure you did the same. But then something would catch my eye, and I'd be just like right back on it again. And there's so much of what we both like photographing there that we were always going to be fine, I think.
It is interesting too, having someone along with you. So you were filming me making a video, and I saw that guy behind, and I said, oh, I'll frame it this way. So I'll get it such that I can have you in the foreground, which is kind of fun, but blurry, because the real focus is that guy. So, but it is, again, it's sort of fun hunting in tandem, so to speak, because you definitely get some different points of view. I'm going to click on one of these videos that may or may not tell us more of the story. So Kerry's pointing out that she shoots mostly with her camera. Her telephone. Sorry. So I'm going to take back the camera and let her do some phone shots, because that's what she's used to, and that's the... Oh, we already did that one.
So this is the kind of thing I like to shoot, like a little path or something. I don't know. I'm a sucker for a path. So I took the mailbox because it caught my eye. What's catching your eye today?
Rachel's beard. Look at that amazing beard. Okay, so I had showed you that. So I just shared this because I spent all that time uploading them, but it's also, they kind of give you the behind the scenes. Whatever, I'm going to throw my laptop at the wall in a second. It was a fun experience. It is so different though to kind of like hunt in a pack like that, isn't it? Because we have to stay clear of each other's shots too.
Yeah, we do and we don't. I mean, I purposely took photos with you in them. um, of you, because you do that a lot. You take photos of people taking photos, like shoot the shooter, I think you call it. So I feel like that's always going to be fun. And I actually liked some of my favorite things about the little video clips we were taking was you getting distracted while you're doing it. Like you're doing the clip and then you're like, hey, beer, stuff like that, because that's you. And that's what the entire photo walk experience is from beginning to end. So it was very much like a representation of the experience.
That's interesting, and it's reasonable to say. It is funny though, because one of those distractions is funny. As you were saying that, I'm like shifting through the photos. I'm sure I was making like the grumpiest face. One of the photos that had popped up while I was saying this, I'm uploading right now. It was like, hey, a scooter person coming by. I do it every time. Like I'll just be like, that's the shot I need. And that's not how our brains think normally, is it? So do you think, well, let me ask you a few questions as someone who doesn't necessarily go out specifically for photo walks. You do it because we hang out together, but do you see doing this next time you go on a trip somewhere? And like when you and Chloe did it in Hampton Court and Hever Palace and all that, Hampton Court Palace, Hever Castle. Do you see kind of why people do it? Do you think more people should do it? What's your take on the experience?
I'm not much for shoulds, like in general. So I would say if you enjoy taking photos, if that's part of your travel experience, then yeah, do it. People can share, they can kind of walk in your footsteps and share the experience with you. What I don't do, and I'm not going to say like I never did this, but I haven't for many years, is take photos of myself in front of stuff. Cause like for one thing, I'm not that interesting. But for another, it ruins the shot that I want to get. So, it's really hard to get you and like the Eiffel Tower in a great shot. Like it's just hard. So I would rather get the shot than be in all my own photos. So yeah, if you're enjoying it, if it adds to your experience, then do it. If it is an inconvenience or if you in some way resent having to stop every 2 seconds, then don't. I'm about to go to York in about a month in the UK, which is very old city, and there'll be lots of really kind of classic, well, like what you think of when you think of like Chaucer's tales or the Tudors, that kind of stuff. A lot of that old architecture, lots of charming little streets and stuff like that. So you can expect more photos from me and possibly guest star Chloe from Scotland if I get lucky.
Oh, how fun. This is one last shot I took that I liked, which was just that same bicycle in the bushes, but I closed in on it. That was the other thing I was going to say, was that it is different shooting with different lenses. So I had Chloe's named this the Big Show. That's the one thing we're missing from not being able to show that intro video, is that we name checked Chloe. We name checked a few people on this trip. But the Big Show is this big fat lens I have. Well, when I put this on to do this photo walk with Kerry, couldn't see anything. Like I was I was at the wrong height. And Kerry was shooting, I'd given her this camera that has a pancake lens. It is a very, you get everything. And it's almost like the opposite experience. You can't zoom in at all. So you just get what you get. So that's, to me, one of the things that gets interesting about this particular hobby is you learn how you see something changes what you see, how you perceive it, what you react to, and everything like that. And I think it's just a neat metaphor for how we look at life. Did you have any particular epiphanies while you were out, or just like, I think I'll go get some coffee now?
No, I mean, I'd have to take a look. I should try to upload some stuff while you're talking, but mostly it was, I would see something and think, I would like to share what I see in this with people. And I think what surprised me this time was how hard it can be to capture what caught your eye about it. Sometimes it's hard to explain even. You're just like, oh, look at that. What's that? It's like this weird assortment of things in an alley. And I don't know, something about the way the light's hitting it and the way that they balance each other out makes it feel like something I want to capture. That's hard to explain. So it's interesting being with someone else who's doing that with another set of things, at the same time as you. And it was, I think it made for a very enriching experience. And it also probably made you look a little less creepy when you approach people for photos.
You so-and-so you. But that is, accurate. because, when I'm trying to shoot photos out and about, I'm sure there's people like, what's that weird person in the bushes? But I just made a copy of another one of yours, because what I've learned is that, nope. I was going to say, what I've learned is that at StreamYard says it doesn't mind if it makes little smaller ones. But, and to Chloe's point about 2 or more people going to do a photo shoot. So places like, for instance, London, I've seen videos where 20, 30 or so people gather up for a photo walk and go out on the streets of some place like Piccadilly Circus or something. It's shenanigans, because that many people is a lot too many people with cameras. Suddenly you're like, wait, is like a prime minister here or something? But yeah, so here's another one of yours. I was realizing I shared a bunch of mine just because I was like mauling them. But what brought you to this photo in this angle?
I was trying to crop out the very modern motor car on the left, so that was part of it, because these buildings do remind me of what I saw in the UK. So it felt kind of timeless, and that ruined the timelessness for me. So that's why it's like long, as opposed to, say, square or horizontal. I think it was interesting to me where the door was situated, how old the door looks, how old the stone next to it looks. I like the herringbone pattern in the brick. And something about there being so few windows, which I wouldn't like, to be honest. Like, if I was living in a building like that, I would want more windows. But from the outside, it looks very interesting. I guess that's what I like about it.
So that's another one of your things, are doors. So every time I see doors, I think, I should probably take a picture because Kerry likes these doors. So talk about this one.
I like the street. All the buildings on this street are pretty old. Some of the buildings look a little bit ramshackle, like not like run down real bad, but you can tell that they're older. And I love the big front stoop with the worn step. Like, the stone is worn to the point where when they're really old, they can actually get shiny. Like in Croatia, I saw a bunch of stairs that were just worn shiny from so many people walking on them. And so I like some of these are old. That one doesn't look like an especially old one, but I like some of them. And the paint color and the condition of the paint, and then like the transom at the top, I liked. And just the whole sort of setup and the contrast, probably. I don't love people who paint brick. That's me. Like, I, as a rule, think brick is so pretty by itself. But in this case, I like the contrast of the red door with the brick, which would normally be red and instead is white.
And then I tried to upload another one, and again, I got vexed by the fact that it is too big.
Probably my fault. iPhones take very big photos.
No, both of ours are causing the same kind of a problem, but that's okay, because I'm just going to work through it.
So, Annette, I'm going to be in York in September, so I won't be free to go to Santa Fe, but take lots of photos because we want to see them.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to try one more time. So like Kerry was mentioning, one of the things that I go out to shoot for, one of the things that I'm liking more and more and more, and it's just really becoming kind of the excitement behind doing the thing, is I really like to interact with people in one way or another. Just realized too, is this really not going to let me have it? I made it so small. One of the interactions that we had that I don't even know if we got it on video. Here it is. One of the interactions we had that I don't think we even got on video. This guy was in this really nice looking Mini Cooper convertible, and I complimented on his car, and he warmed up so much. I forget what he said to me, but
He said, "Do you want it?" He was looking to sell it. I guess they'd enjoyed it for 10 years, and now they've about had enough of it. So he was interested in getting rid of it.
Well, that's one difference between cars and things like cameras, is that a 10-year-old camera works just as great as a very local, modern, new camera, but a 10-year-old car could have lots of things wrong with it. So this is the photo I was trying to scramble to get. These are 2 guys getting ready to go up and do some roofing work, and they looked so wonderful and so energetic and all that. So I interacted with them. They don't speak a whole lot of English, but they were very nice, and they let me take their photos. That was fun.
They're so interesting. They even told us where they were going. They were going to go across the street and do some work on the back of the building, like the roof on the back where you can't see. And it looked pretty dangerous. So I was like, be careful up there. I was like to Mom, hey, be careful. That's a building. Like they don't do this every single day.
Totally their day job. So we're going to get out of here. We've done our best at trying to make a show today. This went really long, but hey, we're sponsored by StreamYard. You can make a show. You could probably make it even better than I made it today. Sorry for my technical glitches, but this is pretty easy to do. Go to cbrogan.net/StreamYard. Make your own damn show. Closest thumbs up and everything. That one made me smile. I feel the same way. Leslie said, how can you get sick of a Mini Cooper convertible? Sorry, Leslie. I would have picked it up for you if I knew that you wanted it. Kerry, any last words for people on if they should choose to go out and do this sort of thing?
Last words. If you go on a photo walk, choose somebody who also enjoys stopping every couple seconds to take photos. I mean, it sounds like obvious, but people try to do this with their significant other or something, or their best friend, and it sounds like a good idea, but it's not. If the other person doesn't like stopping to take photos all the time, they're going to be annoyed and impatient, and you won't get the photos you want, and they'll be pissed off anyway because you still will have spent most of the time taking photos. So just choose your companion carefully.
I hadn't even thought about that aspect of it. The fact that if you got somebody kind of in tow, it might not be the very best experience in the world. I'll say that, I was kind of raised into photography. My gramps was kind of a photographer of this whole bunch of things. He did so many shots. We would watch slideshow projections in the living room. He would set up the slides. We'd watch those little reels, those carousels go around, the Kodak carousels. And it was super fun. And then my mom got super into photography and when I was a kid. And I think my dad took a bunch too, but I always thought of it as kind of my mom's thing more. She had a lot of digital cameras. She was kind of the scribe. But I'll tell you who wasn't a photographer, but ended up in a lot of the film is my grandmother. And I'll tell you, this is a true story. Some of these stories I tell maybe aren't so true. True story. My Grammy had a habit of pointing a lot. So there's a lot of photos of my Grammy pointing at things. But it turns out, I don't know what it is about it, birds love to see people point. So there are many stories, not on film, of my Grammy and a bird.
Giving